welcome to RPGamer's review of Fateseeker 2. This review was written by Delander, read by JC Servant, and the video edited by Her Frog. The world has become a very creative place. As creativity grows, so does globalization to make these works available to anyone. RPGs continually find new ways to push the boundaries of storytelling. However, translation gaps still come through that cause immeasurable harm to games that may otherwise find solid footing. This is especially true of JSL's Entertainment's isometric detective action RPG Fateseeker 2, as everything is so dialogue heavy that the wonky translation causes frustration at every turn. Set in ancient China, Fateseeker 2 follows the story of young Zhuge Yu. Zhuge Yu is the son of Fateseeker's protagonist Zhuge Wei, who is a court official that died exposing the corrupt minister Cobra Kin. Yu grows to respect his father's choices and follows in his father's footsteps as a detective. After proving his worth to the prefect Baotan, who governs a large area of the country, Yu is sent to use his detective skills to prevent the deaths of the wrongfully accused or exposing corruption at local courts. This is all done to find leads against a group called Defiant that is sacrificing innocents to create a society free from corruption. The basic steps remain the same for every case. Yu finds a crime scene, does a preliminary investigation to find supporting evidence, and then crafts a working theory with a female companion. The theory is then presented to the authority where the player helps catch them in the lies. The stories are varied, making the lack of connecting dialogue that much sadder to experience. There are too many instances of things that don't quite work, making even the simplest take a gargantuan leap in reading comprehension. Zhuge Yu is presented as an incredibly intelligent, borderline narcissistic character whose only faithful friend is his pet eagle Skylar. He laughs when someone presents a flawed argument because he knows their story better than they do. His smugness is born out of gathering evidence, finding items, and putting the pieces together. These clues are then used to think things through in a connect the dots method. Evidence gathered is done by talking to individuals or using a button and igniting, thrusting, destroying, or showing something to the object or person for various results. Luckily, there's little that can be outright missed out on by burning evidence, as you will stop players before going too far. Every option is needed to explore crime scenes, as sometimes the next clue will be found in the most obtuse ways. For example, one unconscious enemy needs to be shoved for a clue, while the other right beside them will result in you chastising the player for shoving a helpless person. Zhuge Yu is an unknown commodity in his world. This means that every quest in a new area begins with people skeptical of his abilities. As he starts to solve problems, he wins the respect of all men and every woman falls in love with him. The pattern is tiresome, but the mysteries still play out in different enough ways. It is hard to call them interesting because of the ever-present translation making evidence gathering a chore. Not to mention, these villages are huge and often have dozens of rumors and side quests that can be completed alongside the main reason for being there. If Zhuge Yu does something incorrect, it is presented as a player problem since you knew the right answer and is just testing the suspects and companions on their knowledge. This makes you more annoying than endearing, as he is showered with love and respect, has zero flaws, and claps back at the player for not keeping up with his genius. The only goofs to make him human are needing a mask to hide his facial expressions when deep in thought, and aversion to chairs since a friend yanked one out from underneath of him as a child. Players always feel a step behind due to the terrible translation. Contradictions are just missing, and more than once words are chosen by their least used definition. It's like everything was run through Google Translate and followed with a thesaurus to swap word arrangements around. The key words that the game tries to highlight as hints sometimes don't match anything that has ever been found, leading to a demented task of dictionary scanning to have things make sense. Normally, a dialogue-heavy title has ebbs and flows to it that make things grow organically. Here, the player has a big emphasis sprung on them, like common knowledge, all while struggling to present the characters and story in an organized fashion. Luckily, clues in main quest are limited to a particular area, and there's a mini-map that updates when everything is found, and Zhuge Yu is ready to think about putting the evidence together. Unfortunately, these areas are massive, and some aspects have to be interacted with multiple times in various ways to get the information needed to move forward. Everything that can be interacted with is part of some story, room, or quest. Some of these are simple and can be completed with items collected throughout the journey, while others have innately specific aspects for it to be completed. Rewards don't necessarily match with the difficulty of a quest either. This dangling of the carrot makes the smack of the rod extra annoying when painstakingly going over every word, item, and piece of evidence leads to something incorrect or a healing item. Completing only those that the player comes across organically just helps preserve sanity, as some of them just aren't worth the effort. There is potential for a complex, well-organized title beneath all the translation difficulties. Characters from various plots weave together and get moments to grow. A few of the mysteries have moments where the premise is sound. The female companions are presented in a manner different from one another, so they have some personality beyond Yu is the best. Everything ties together to a well-done climax that is honestly baffling after all the bumps along the way. This great conclusion offers a sad glimpse to what the title could have been if not marred by translation gaffes. When court cases are ready for presentation, Yu will state that they are ready to confront the accused. Fate Seeker 2 then turns into a courthouse parody, complete with you reading facial expressions, tones, and specific words to know someone is lying. Players then have to go through 5 different statements and provide the proper piece of evidence against the untruthful statement. On easy, trying repeatedly causes no lasting in-game damage, but higher difficulties affect the experience points players can receive from quest and combat, as it drops from 100% down to 0, making things drastic if players can't parse the poor translation. Sometimes things are straightforward. Other times it's akin to opening a door with a roundhouse kick. Sure, it gets the job done, but it's not the easiest choice. It is during these scenes that Yu laughs the most, telling people that he knows they are lying and letting them catch themselves by presenting the evidence. These scenes are presented as an extremely serious, but the bad dialogue and Yu's sarcastic laughter makes it more groan-worthy instead. While collecting evidence, Yu has to occasionally show off his martial prowess. Combat in Fate Seeker 2 is enjoyable with 4 different martial arts combinations tied to a longsword, greatsword, fist, and spears that can be cycled through with the press of a button. Every move, known as a Buga, is flashy, and the quick pace of combat never feels dull, as different martial styles can be combined for additional fun. Every non-basic attack has a cooldown, with all but the finishing maneuver having small enough cooldowns that it's not difficult to just keep cycling through abilities to keep combos going. Stronger enemies will do a flashy combo of their own that can leave the susceptible to being stunned. Stunning enemies can remove cooldowns of some stronger skills and allows them to be spammed for tons of damage. Combat feels like it happens infrequently, leaving its simple yet flashy style a highlight in a game bogged down by poor communication. There are no respawning enemies, so fighting only happens at certain investigative points along the journey. Stronger equipment is found during events or as a reward for side quest completion. The unbalanced reward nature makes things problematic, as some complex quests are rewarded with healing items while breaking a bookshelf yields a rare weapon. Methods and additional skill feats are found this way as well, so players do feel obligated to explore. Methods are accessory books that players can equip that give boost in combat, and upgrading them doubles the stat gains. Upgrading equipment comes in the form of materials found along the journey or by feeding Skylar, who after a time can be called back with additional supplies after being fed fish. Fate Seeker 2 is a fine-looking action RPG. There are a few scenery shots of mountain ranges or palace halls that capture a variety of colors in a pleasing manner. Yet, for the most part, Yu is exploring caves and small farmland villages that portray the same yellow and black color tones. The majority of characters have reused designs with the exception of the striking Yu and the outfits of the female companions. This is due to the harem-like option of choosing a favorite personality type or look, as they are all in love with Yu. The musical accompaniment is full of inoffensive background tracks that add little. Main quests are voiced in Chinese and add cadence to the speech, and that is an unexpected treat. There's a good premise locked behind bad execution in Fate Seeker 2. There's plenty to explore and everything is connected to something. The detective work is meticulous, and the awful translation makes reading for any amount of time a headache. Combat is sprinkled in as a highlight, but when most of the game is dialogue heavy, it is not enough. The poor presentation magnifies every weakness, so avoid this headache at all cost. This review is based on a free copy of the game provided by the publisher. RPGamer gives Fate Seeker 2 a 1.5 out of 5. For more details, hit up the link in the description below. For more video content, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitch for daily streams of your favorite RPGs. Join in the discussion at rpgamer.com/discord. And for the latest in RPG news, head over to rpgamer.com.